Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door. And we are on the cusp of the Euro 2020 quarter finals. It's 12:30 on Friday. They kick off tonight. Switzerland, Spain, Italy, Belgium. Then tomorrow, Czechs versus Danes. But the one we are here to talk about, Ukraine versus England. And not wanting to be complacent about this as, a YouTuber or as an England fan, I feel a lot calmer than I did before the Germany game. And bear in mind, I'm not one of the people who thought that Gareth Southgate was doing everything wrong from the beginning. I've seen exactly what his plan has been and which strategy he's trying to use. Obviously, whether it worked or not, so far, it has. And 4 games, 4 clean sheets, and the victory over Germany. Whereas this one feels a little bit more like England are favourites. And as I said in my predictions video yesterday, we can't win as English football supporters. If we say we're confident and we're favourites, then we're arrogant. And if we express a little bit of fear, then we're wimps, and we should be more confident. But hey, as ever on the channel, we'll try and live somewhere in between the ridiculous extremes, which we do get, sadly, the England derangement syndrome of either it's a home run, it's a definite win, or no, we're definitely going to lose. The truth always lies somewhere in the middle. Most of the time it does, doesn't it? So let's have a look, first of all, at our opponents, Ukraine. And this is how they have made it through to the quarterfinals. They lost 3-2 to the Netherlands in their first group game, but they did come back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2. They did get Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk on the score sheet, but they did then go under in a very, very open game that on another day they might have lost by a few more, to be honest. Then they got the vital win, didn't they? Again, Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk on target against the North Macedonians, who did get a goal back in the second half. So one of 2 victories at the tournament for the Ukraine came over North Macedonia, and it was a vital one because they only went and lost their last group game, but managed to qualify. They stuck a few goals on the board, didn't they? Only ever lost by 1. So you can see there 4 goals for, and what would it be? 5 against. And they managed to get themselves through as one of the third place qualifiers. And then that most recent game against Sweden, which, look at that, 121. You will not see a later goal than that. Bear in mind, we only ever seem to get 1 minute stoppage time in extra time periods. But they beat Sweden 2-1. Zinchenko in the first half. And then Dovbyk in minute 121. But look, on 99, Marcus Danielsson red carded. So, if I were a spin doctor working for a politician and I wanted to paint the Ukraine's glass half empty, I would say they've lost 2 games in this tournament to Netherlands and Austria, who are both out. They've only won 2 games. They beat North Macedonia, who lost all their games by a single goal. And they beat Sweden in the last minute of extra time when it was 10 versus 11. So if I'm spinning it that way, then we can make an argument that Ukraine may have punched above their weight to get into the quarterfinals. But they are there, and they are there on merit, of course. I've just flashed up on the right-hand side of the screen the 11 most minutes played by Ukraine players, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have played all 390 minutes, plus 7, or plus another 2, so 7 have started all 4 games. Bouchan, the keeper, Zabarny, the young centre-back, Matvienko, Karavayev, Zinchenko, who we'll talk about more in a minute, and then Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk. That is the body of the side. Sidorchuk, you can see Malinovsky, Mikolenko, Shaparenko have all started 3 out of the 4 games, and 3 of those fellas appeared in all 4 games regardless. So they're not in the same situation as England, Ukraine, where it's, which excellent right back should we use today? Which excellent inverted winger or inside forward or number 10 shall we use today? Who shall we rest today? No, it's not like that for Ukraine. And you would be pretty certain to see, well, look, we'll move on who you're going to see, but all of those 7, I think it was, I've forgotten the guy's name, but one of the reserves forwards got injured against Sweden in the round of 16, but he's not amongst those big 7 who we expect to play. There are the strategies used by Shevchenko, the Ukraine manager, from the start of the tournament. And look, it mirrors what England have done, doesn't it? A back 4 for all of the group games, but then going to a back 3 in the knockout phases. And you can see those key names I mentioned up top every time, Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk. For the first 3 games, Yarmolenko coming in off the right, but in a front 2 in the knockouts. And have a look at Zinchenko as well, who played left-sided central midfield in the first 3 games. Moved over to left wing-back and got on the score sheet. Obviously, a Manchester City Pep Guardiola guy who often, when you play that position, Manchester City, you do end up in narrow and false full-back and all of this in central midfield. So this guy can really play. Yarmolenko can play. Yaremchuk can play. Zabani's been impressive, like we said, the 18-year-old. Sidorchuk's neat and tidy in central midfield. I've put up formations and star players. That's not SofaScore. That's who scored with those lists. As always, if I don't say this, someone will comment. But don't get emotional about these ratings. They're not emotionally generated. They're generated by numbers, by passes, by completed passes, by presses, by clearances, by interceptions, clean sheets, all of that. There's no emotion gone into them, so don't feel emotional about them. But you can see Zinchenko, Yarmolenko, Bouchan, the goalkeeper, Matvienko and Yaremchuk. So these names are popping up, and really the only question is, do they stick with the 3 at the back, having moved to it? And honestly, why wouldn't they? It's like they've gone to their knockout system and they can focus on it maybe being a bit more of a low block than what England perhaps might do with their 3 at the back. And hopefully everybody learned their lesson in terms of the nonsense that was being spoken before the England game about the fact a formation can be defensive. Well, did you see what England did with their 3 at the back? Because I saw a lot of wing-back pushing forward, centre-backs joining in, central midfielders pushing on. It depends what you do with it. And this does afford the Ukraine some screening there in front with Sidorchuk, Stepanenko, Shaparenko in there. So obviously the Ukraine's is a 3-5-2 as opposed to what England used in a 3-4-3. So I suspect you're going to see a 3 at the back. You're going to see Zinchenko at left back and Yarmolenko, Yaremchuk, the ones to watch up top. Is it Malinovsky who's the Atalanta central midfielder? We always look out for their players. They still have a few left in the tournament now. So, yes, that's about the size of it for Ukraine. My assertion is that they've punched their weight to be here. They don't have as good a squad of players as England. That's not arrogant or news to anybody, frankly. And I suspect they'll want to be tight, transition nicely and try and get Yarmolenko coming in off that right-hand side, maybe in a hole behind a wing-back if England play that way. And that would be the strategy. They will be going into this feeling like they are underdogs. Let's talk about England. And I think we all know the route to the final. And the big stat, no goals conceded. 1-0 over Croatia in what actually turned out to be the group of death, considering everyone from Group F has gone home now. Sterling proving the doubters wrong, as many England players have done throughout the tournament here. And manager, in fact, 0-0 against Scotland. Wasn't the best, but it was on the way to 7 points and another clean sheet. Another win. Sterling scoring again against the Czechs, and then a really, really excellent win, wasn't it? a proper tournament performance, keeping out the Germans, riding your luck. You have to ride your luck in a tournament. Nobody gets through spotlessly, do they? And take your chances when they come. Use the substitutes the right way. And that was the deal, Sterling. And thankfully, Harry Kane, despite the protestations of a lot of England fans who wanted the Premier League and World Cup Golden Boot winner to not be in the team. But then again, they wanted Jack Grealish on after about 3 minutes of the game starting. So it's very difficult, as we've established, to cut through the England derangement syndrome and try and figure out a calm way of analysing it and actually what's going on the pitch. And hopefully, I mean, look, you'll never kill the England derangement syndrome, but hopefully those results now will put some trust. But look, the people who tend to be the loudest, who said Ming shouldn't play and then he was excellent, think Sterling shouldn't play and he scored 3 goals, think Kane should be dropped when he's the Golden Boot winner, and think that 2 central midfielders together means defensive in front of a back 3. They're not gonna have understood football between the Germany game and this game. It just is what it is, and we'll have to try and keep the battle with trying to provide balanced analysis. There are the most minutes played by England players. You can see Pickford, Phillips, Stones, Sterling, Kane, Rice have all started every game. Only Phillips and Pickford have played every minute thus far. And you can see, obviously, the Ukrainians have played an extra 30 minutes with their extra time period. Walker and Shaw have played in 3 games. And then a bit of rotation beneath that. Obviously, Maguire and Mings, you can see down there, and Trippier. Trippier's a bit different because that has been proper rotation in the right fullback spot, hasn't it? Between him as a wing back and Walker in a back 4, and Trippier played left back as well. When it comes to Maguire and Mings, we kind of know that if Maguire had been fit from the start of the tournament, he would be another one of those players who played all 4 games. But needs must, and that is what's happened. Let's have a look at the formation. So we know only too well. 4-3-3 for all of those first games. So it looks like I've got them in the wrong order, doesn't it? My bad. So far left is obviously the first game, isn't it? With Foden and Sterling off Kane. And the shutout is the second game against Scotland with no goals. Now I should have the other 2 the other way round. My bad. So you can see the back 3 there should be over on the right. And that's what England graduated to, didn't they? And I was kind of saying it was a little bit the other way round, that this was actually plan A. And this was always the plan. The back 3 is what Southgate used in the World Cup. I know it's been a back 4 a lot, but we thought he would go to it against Germany, particularly with Kimmich and Goossens. I wonder whether he'll stick with it again, A, because it won, and B, because Ukraine are probably going to play a back 3 as well. And contrary to what some of the noise we hear, you do actually have to pay attention to what your opponent is doing in tournament football, where you can't come back on Tuesday or next week and have another go. You get it wrong here, you're done. You're going home, aren't you? So, look, we're definitely going to see Pickford. And then really, is it going to be the 3 at the back, the 4-3-3, or the 4-2-3-1 that we did see against the Czechs with Grealish as a number 10? Look, obviously, there will be the cry for it to be a 4-2-3-1. People will say, oh, it's the Ukraine, your favourites now. Get Grealish in there, get Foden in there, get Mount back in there. Go and attack them and win. That's not been the modus operandi of Southgate so far, has it? It's been, no, tight, pragmatic, don't lose the game first and foremost. So I don't think it'll be the 4-2-3-1 that was used against the Czechs when Foden was on the yellow card, wasn't he? And Chilwell and Mount were not around. I wonder how much that's going to affect the actual finish of the tournament, whether Mount and Chilwell will get back in. Anyway, so you would imagine it'll start with the 3 at the back, and if Southgate can win with the 3 at the back, it won't change. But then there's a very quick tweak. We've said it before in that system. Pull out the right wing back if it's Trippier. Move Shaw back, move Walker across. You've already got the double pivot sat there, and stick in the number 10, which is Grealish at the moment, isn't it? So perhaps it could be unchanged. I think across the back it probably will be now, won't it? Pickford, Stones in the middle with Maguire to his left and Walker to his right. Shaw's now got the shirt. Chilwell, I don't think he's going to get back in, is he? You've then got Trippier down the right. Maybe they could rotate that, but at the moment I think continuity over necessarily fitness, perhaps. Who knows? There are 4 England players on yellow cards, aren't they, which do get spent. Those players are Foden, Maguire, Phillips and Rice. So you're in this situation now where you could take one of those players out to guarantee they don't miss a semi-final. Of course, you then lose them for the quarter-final. Yellow cards are wiped at the end of the quarter-finals. So I don't suspect, other than possibly Foden, who may not start anyway, that you would take out Maguire, Phillips or Rice just because of the yellow card. But they'll have to tread the tightrope of possibly missing the semi-final should England get through. So what I'm saying is I don't see many changes. It would only be, I'm thinking, Saka, really. Do you put Foden back in? Was Saka put in as extra legs against the Germans who were going to come forward? Will the Ukraine be a bit more static? Will the pace of the game and the flow back and forth be less pendulum-like and more befitting of Foden down that side? Or maybe you could even... There's still going to be a clamour to start Grealish. We know that that's just going to happen every game now. It is what it is. But I just don't see him moving Sterling off the left-hand side. So maybe Foden, Saka, Foden, maybe the yellow card puts it in Saka's favour and he just goes unchanged. I personally am at the point now where my trust in Southgate and in what he's trying to do is high enough that I think he knows what he's doing here, and he's been studying international football for a lot longer than most of us watching. So I kind of, he's earned my trust, and especially with that German win now. As I said, the England derangement syndrome and the clamour for Mount and Grealish and all of these guys to come in is going to happen. But again, there was a clamour not to play Mings. He was excellent. There was a clamour not to play Phillips and Rice, and Phillips has been one of the best players. And Sterling, of course, who keeps scoring, and Kane. So maybe the lesson here is to ignore the clamours and focus more on what Southgate's doing than the anxious populist ideas. What I'm saying is, I think it might well be unchanged, and I think both sides are going to play a 3 at the back, but it'll be a 3-5-2 for Ukraine and the 3-4-3 again for England. But you never know. If he's super confident, you might see some rotation, which might mean a Reece James coming in at right back over Trippier. Not that Trippier's played all the games. And if he's really worried about Rice or Phillips, you could see Jordan Henderson starting in there as well. I just think continuity now and stick with it. Here's what our friends over at Betfair are saying, and England are strong favourites. So in 90 minutes, 5-2 on for the English to win. A draw 17-5. And look, Ukraine, big outsiders. 8-1 for the Ukraine to win in 90. That halves for them to win in extra time or penalties at 4-1. But England, even shorter, 6-1 on to qualify. So, look, you know, if you watch my predictions video, I think England are favourites in this one. I think there's a calmness that is around the squad and the system given by Gareth Southgate that hasn't been there in the past. There's none of this craziness and, oh, we're just going to rely on Gascoigne or Shearer or Michael Owen or Wayne Rooney just to drag us and we'll all get very excited. No, we know what we're doing here and we're going to calmly just carry on through this. And if you find it boring, so what? Not conceding any goals and winning doesn't get that old that quickly, I have to say. So I suspect England will win. I don't want to say I'm confident, but looking at a few things. One, the star quality. I think England have got the edge there. Two, looking at the process through the tournament. England, no goals conceded. 3 wins and a draw and victories over Germany, Croatia and Czech Republic. Against Ukraine, only winning 2 games by 1 goal against North Macedonia and in the last minute against 10 men of Sweden. That kind of stacks up to say England are probably in a slightly better place. So, I'm as confident as I will allow myself to be, but you never know. Tournament football, red card, bad call going against you, any of that stuff. I'm sure I'll be as anxious as everybody else. But let's just hope that the toxicity that's often around the narrative with England dissipates a little bit and some respect is shown to Gareth Southgate. Maybe he's earned a bit with the win against Germany, but hey, like I said earlier, people who are going to talk are going to talk, and hopefully you guys watching the channel are positive and understanding of what England are doing, because they could be doing something really great. And let's hope another win comes against Ukraine on Saturday night, 8 p.m. We will be here on the channel. We'll be watching all of the games. And by the time you're watching this, probably a couple of them have happened. Switzerland, Spain and Belgium, Italy tonight. And we will find out who the semi-finalists are going to be over the course of the next 30 hours or so now. It's getting very exciting. That is our Ukraine versus England preview. Hope you enjoyed it. I've had my say. Now you have yours. Sorry if I've been barking a little bit about the narrative and about the nonsense I've been hearing. I do believe in freedom of speech. So if you do think Raheem Sterling's terrible and Harry Kane should be dropped and Gareth Southgate doesn't know it, you're entitled to think that. But it does feel now that that's quite a reductive opinion that's kind of repeatedly been proved wrong through the tournament. I know people will hang on to it, and if England are knocked out at any point, they'll, aha, I told you so. So please do get your comments. And if you do think that, you're more than entitled to say it. Just know that I disagree, and I think I've made that fairly plain. And I think what would be a lot more useful at this stage is collectively just getting behind the guys now, and just whoever plays, whatever system, whatever decisions are made, we can support them as much as we can question them. And I think that's where we are now, with the possibility of, if a victory comes over Ukraine, a semi-final against the Czechs or the Danes, and potentially, I don't want to say it, the best chance to reach a final for the longest time. You would suggest maybe those teams are weaker than the Croats who we faced in the semi-finals in the World Cup. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself now. Get your thoughts in on the Ukraine game. Join me for the watch along. I've just started to get a little bit nervous about it now, having talked about it. I think I was thinking about the semi-final, so I am getting ahead of myself. So I'll stop now. Please join me for the watch along. It's going to be good fun, as long as everyone can keep nice and calm and we can keep the balance going in our opinions. But that emotion comes through, doesn't it? If you want to see some emotion, check out my reactions to the goals against Germany, so I'm as bad as anyone. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching Ukraine, England, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Join us here and get your comments in on what you think is going to happen. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.